So I figured I would make a little intro video into DanMachi, how to go about building teams, how to progress through the game as a new player, what you're looking for, synergy with teams, all the different events that they're constantly throwing at you. When you first start, the game definitely seems overwhelming. Um, as you play it for a long time, it's just normal, I guess you can say. For people that don't know me, I'm Astral in game. I'm in the Familia Waifu in the North America server. Been playing for 862 login days. I think I probably missed 4 or 5 days of login. So basically, since the game released in North America, I would like to disclaim that I am very bad at this game too, just so you guys know. So yeah, let's just go into it. I'm gonna be throwing a lot of information at you guys really fast. So I mean, if you're having problems, feel free to ask questions in the comments or, pause the video, replay it, etc. So, this game throws a ton of events at you, especially nowadays. It wasn't so bad when it first came off. So, if we go to Arena, we have the war game going on right now. Record Busters closed. That'll open up as soon as War Game is done. We have Familia War Game on right now, and then you have Monsterphilia. And then, not to mention, you have your normal events that they're constantly doing, and you have your dispatch quest in 7th zone. So first, let's kind of talk about all the different events, kind of what they're there for, how to go about them, etc., etc. So your normal events are going to be, of course, War Game and Record Buster. They kind of flip-flop back and forth. There's normally about a 2-day period in between them, 1 to 2 day period in between when one ends and the other one begins. War Game, which is the current one out, is basically about building a team to score points off of fighting in another opposing team. It's basically the only true PvP format in the game. Building teams, the meta, which meta basically just means what's the best at the current point in time. The meta for the game changes constantly as new banners are released, right? So, I mean, like right now, I'll just load up my team, which the call-up feature is really nice. For a lot of new players, you probably don't use this, and maybe as a brand new player it won't be a great use to you just because you don't have that many units. But from here you can basically build teams and load them up with all their armor and everything else. You can name them. So like, for example, when it comes to 7th zone, I have my different teams for 7th zone for, questing when I'm going for bonus experience, etc. But I'm just going to load the current Wargame team that I'm playing with right now. And, I mean, you guys will get the hang of it in 2 seconds. But basically, the idea of Wargame is to beat the opposing team. Of course, I get an ailment team right off the bat, which means I'm probably going to lose here. Basically, the setup is this, is there's tiers based upon, how many points you score. You get 20 points for a win. For a loss, you lose 20 points. And if you force close the game in the middle of a fight, you lose 30 points. And there's hard tiers that you can get to as soon as you accumulate X amount of points. Actually, that team was god awful. Anyways, as you accumulate X amount of points, you hit hard tiers. And what I mean by a hard tier is this. So you see you have Hero 1 all the way down to Little Rookie 3. Every time you go from like Rookie to Perseus, Perseus to Braver, Braver to Battle Princess 3. So whenever you go from basically 1 to 3, that's a hard tier, meaning that whatever point value you need to be at to get to that tier, you're never going to drop below. So basically, if you manage to get yourself to King 3, you're never going to be demoted back to Princess 1, so you might as well just keep fighting. Just keep going. A lot of people concern themselves with rank. Like, I know a lot of people will say, I can't get past King 2, I'm going to stay there. I don't see a reason. If you look at your difference in rewards between King 2 and King 3, you're talking about 200,000 Valius and 1 Hero Falna, which in retrospect is nothing. This is also, what do they call them? There's a stupid name for it. The War Game Training, meaning the rewards aren't iris-based like they normally are. Or, yeah, iris-based like they normally are. So, I mean, for these, just go all out. It's all about going balls deep in these. For the iris ones, if you're really afraid and that extra 20, 30, 50 iris is going to make a huge difference to you, I guess you can stop. But, I mean, for me, dude, just press forward. Just keep on going. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to lose 30 iris that they're going to give you for free next event. I mean, iris in this game is given to you for free as a participation. You don't have to work for it. So anyways, you also get rank up prizes, which is another reason to try to kind of persevere forward, etc., etc. Um, then you have Record Buster, which I can't show you really, but essentially what Record Buster is it's a single enemy which is going to have a resistance and whatever. It's going to have a resistance to a lot of elements. It's going to have one element that it's super weak to. So you build teams around it. So like I think the last one was weak to wind, right? It's not going to let me see my team, but I can see somebody else's. So yeah, the last one was weak to wind, so everybody was building teams that were wind based except for your hackers that recently got banned, right? Um, and my game's going to crash because this game is just amazing. But yeah, so basically you have all these events that they're constantly throwing at you. As far as Wargame goes, like I said, I believe to go just balls deep into it and just keep trying to go higher and higher. If a team doesn't work for you, make changes. Make minuscule changes to the team, figure out what works, figure out what people are using, where you're kind of stuck at, and build a team that'll beat theirs. And I'll get into team synergy here in a little bit once the game boots up, right? Record Buster is kind of the same thing. You can view what people are using. I kind of want to note it's not required to use top tier units. Of course, you're not going to be rank 1 in Record Buster, right? But there's a lot of teams that you can use, a lot of adventures and assists that you can use that top players aren't using to still score very, very high. Just because it is a wind Record Buster, if you have a full dark team and a really trashy wind team, and what I mean by that is say you have a full team of dark that's at level 80, and you have a wind team where most of your people are 61, 64, as long as you have good synergy on that team, you're going to score significantly better because you're going to be able to hit it at a higher difficulty. Your survival rate's going to be higher. Your damage might seem lower, but you actually are getting a larger bonus the more turns that you progress while fighting the enemy in Record Buster. So that's kind of something to note as well. Monsterphilia, it's kind of the same thing. You have general battles that have, certain scores that you need to basically get past to get an S rank on them. You get rewards for doing that. That's kind of self-explanatory. It's a lot like Record Buster. You'll have enemies that will have resistances to a lot of things. They'll be weak to things. So you're building teams to kind of work against what they have going for them, if that makes sense. But let's get into team synergy because that's what we get kind of the most questions about. And what I mean by team synergy is teams that work well together, things that work well with each other. I can easily, if I just go to my status board, I've been playing forever, so I have a ton of units, and these are 4-star units at that. These aren't your random 3-stars that have been leveled up. So I could easily just pick 6 units, throw them on a team, and I can probably go beat anything in the normal game quest line, for the most part, except for like 3 or 4 missions. Anyways, yeah, that's fine. But when you're trying to place good in events, and you're trying to do monsterphilia where you have to build around a certain weakness to the enemy, or say the enemy has poison, you need to use poison anklets, you kind of need to be more versatile and you need to know how to set up a team. So let's just go ahead and fast pace this to a team that I already have set up. So this is a physical light team that I was using for 7th zone. So I'm using the newer dual strive Bell. Bell's skills, he has a, wow, if I can not hit too many buttons at once and actually skip bells. He has like a mid-light, high pen, and then ally strength and light damage plus 30%. So basically he's boosting my strength and light for the characters, the adventurers on my team. He has a fast light attack that removes strength, agility, and dark attack buffs. And then he has a single target attack that basically just does additional damage per self-light attack damage buff that I have. A little thing that's important to know is you'll see these fast skills. When it comes to Wargame, fast is nice. That means you go first, right? Anytime that you can deal damage to your enemy first is a plus. It's not that crucial, I guess you could say, when it comes to fighting PvE, player versus enemy, basically your game, your quests, your Record Buster. Fast really isn't going to help you there, but in Wargame, fast is good. So anyways, I basically have this bell just to boost the strength and light attack damage of my other light units. Then we're using the Gallant Armor Ice. Basically, same thing. Drops the guard rate of my enemy. It increases my attack type of all targets plus 30%. So as long as I'm using an attack that attacks all targets, I'm gaining 30% damage with all of my units. That's another nice buff. So anyways, then you have the little like self. Most of them will have AoE attacks and they'll have a single target attack, which can be good or bad. I'm using, of course, Haru. Haru is kind of a staple in the game. It has been for a very, very long time now. For people that aren't familiar with Haru, basically it's because Haru will extend your buffs. The debuff of the Strength of Magic minus 40% is very nice. The second attack Shiki, which gives your counter rate and penetration rate up 30%, is very nice. But the big one is the Yosuga, which basically heals all your teammates, plus it increases the status debuff by 2 turns. Meaning if I use an attack that drops the physical resistance of an enemy for 4 turns, then I go ahead and use Yosuga, now it's 6 turns. Use it again. I dropped 1, 7, 2 more, now it's 9. So I can continue to keep my buffs up on my enemies while keeping them up on my allies as well. So basically the strategy with Haru, and the reason it's a staple, especially in like Record Buster and stuff like that, is because like my bell is going to it's going to buff my light units. It's going to give me bonus strength and bonus light damage by 30%. My ice is going to give a debuff to my enemies that's going to cause me to do 30%, 20%, I don't remember, bonus damage to my enemies. And then Haru is just going to continuously extend that buff as long as I'm using that attack 3. The other big plus for Haru is it's basically an MP machine, man. If you're running low on MP because you're using 141 MP for using the attack 3 Yosuga, you can just go ahead and pop an attack 2, which only costs 12 MP, and I gain 15% of my MP back. So, I mean, if you have a level 60 Haru, it might not last as long as my level 80, but you're not gonna run out of MP. It's just not gonna happen. If you do, you're doing something wrong. It's that simple. So anyways, back to the synergy. So you see that we're increasing our strength, and we're just going over adventurers right now, but we're increasing our strength, and we are increasing the damage that we do to our opponents with the ice and light attack damage with Bell. Haru is extending the buffs. Then we have Line. Line is a sacrificial unit. I have a revolving P amulet on the Line. Basically, that means after the turn is over, Line goes bye-bye. She's dead for the rest of the fight, right? And the main reason is Line's 2 attack, which increases my SA gauge charge by 33%, counter rate and critical rate, and pen rate by 20%. So once again, back to SA, that's your special arts. That's that gauge at the top so I can use my specials. So by popping Line's second attack, I basically am gaining 33% extra towards my special arts per attack that my team is using. And then, of course, I'm extending that buff with Haru. This was, like I said, this was for 7th zone. So for, I had Arde in there just so I can drop the physical and magical resistance by another 30%, penetration rate down 40%, basically help keep my units alive. Once again, Haru is extending that buff, and then I went with Beat here for whatever reason, but I didn't really have a better unit, if I'm being honest. Just for the super light physical attack as a damage dealer. He doesn't have any kind of special attack when it comes to an AoE character, but he still does good damage. So then we get into our syst. So let's just go over adventurers one more time. So we have Bell, who is buffing my strength and my light damage. We have Eyes, that is buffing my total damage given to the enemies as long as I'm using attack all. We have Haru, that is basically extending all my buffs for the duration of the fight. I can literally extend them indefinitely. And Record Buster, I can extend them 15 turns without an issue, right? Line is a sacrificial unit. It's going to just go away at the end of the turn because of the revolving amulet I have on it. That is simply there to increase the SA, basically giving me more special arts to use to deal more damage. Arde to drop the physical and magical resistance, plus the pin down, all that to help my enemies, or help my teammates. That's the adventurers. Then let's go to the assist, right? And this is kind of a semi-outdated team because we have the new Finn now that's better than the Seer that I'm using. You can use both to get more. There's a lot of strategy that can go into kind of team building, but this is just kind of your basic team. So we have Seer right here, which, like I said, was recently outdated by the new Finn. Basically, Seer, for the person that it's on, because it's a self buff, it increases the SA charge gauge gained by 100%. So every time my Bell attacks, I'm gaining 100% extra towards my SA. Plus, remember, line is giving me 33%. So I'm actually gaining 133% towards my SA charge every single time Bell attacks. Then we have Ares here, which Ares is physical resist, penetration rate, and critical rate minus 20. So with that, basically, I'm dealing more damage, more physical damage to my enemies. It's a debuff. And I'm just going to reiterate, you know, broken violin, whatever you want to call it. Haru is extending these buffs and debuffs, so they never go away as long as I'm using her attack 3 to extend all this, which means for the duration of the fight until the enemy dies, I die, I run out of turns, whatever the situation may be, I'm keeping all these buffs and all these debuffs. We're using Sacred Fire Hestia, which attacked all targets plus 15%. So once again, kind of like Ice here, who is increasing my attack all by 30%, I'm actually gaining an extra 15% by using Hestia here. It's also important to note that a buff from an adventurer and a buff from an assist stack. So what I mean by that is they're not counteracting each other. I'm gaining 15% from the Hestia assist, and I'm also gaining 30% from Ice's buff attack, or debuff, however the fuck you want to call it. Anyways, with that being said, where is I going? With that being said, assists don't really stack like that. If I was to bring in another assist that increased my attack all, those two would not stack. But also, for whatever reason, Finn and Sir stack, basically because Sir is for self and Finn is for allies, so one doesn't supersede the other. Anyways, then we have Ina here. Ina was just to survive because I was doing very hard, which is dropping the strength, magic, counter rate, and heal of my enemies that I am fighting. Basically, they are doing less damage to me. Then we're also using the new Seer, which gives me light attack damage plus 20% and strength and magic plus 15%. So I'm also, not only am I boosting, and this is where I talk about how assists don't counteract your adventurers, I'm boosting my light attack damage with Bell and my strength with Bell, but I'm also boosting it with my Sir in slot 5 as well. And then, don't even ask me why I had Apollo here. I mean, I kind of know, but I could have put a better unit in. I'm boosting my strength again, so as you can tell, Seer and Apollo both boost strength, so those kind of counteract each other. It was more for the light resist minus 15. So I could have kind of changed up my assists a little bit and probably got a little bit better score. I still scored, I think, like top 150, top 200 in 7th zone with this team. So it's not really that big of a deal. But yeah, so that's where I was saying, because they're both boosting strength by 15%, one of them is null and void. It's kind of a wasted slot, minus the fact that I'm gaining the negative 15 light resist. So that's kind of the idea of synergy of a team. Everything is meant to work together. Everything is meant to buff. Everything is meant to work with that team that I'm using. So, you know, I'm using Sacred Fire Hestia because I'm using attack all on all my units, right? So I'm gaining the boost there. I'm also using that ice to boost that damage there. I'm only using physicals, so I'm using Ares just as a physical debuff to my enemies. So that's synergy of a team. And like I said, there's staples in this game as far as units go. Sacred Fire Hestia, Haru, Line, those three, you'll see them in almost every single team that there's AoE. And what I mean by AoE is you're doing an attack all. If you're not doing an attack all, Sacred Fire Hestia is simply going to be basically turned into Moonlight Goddess Hestia. Or Moonlight Reunion, sorry. Which just means single target plus 15%. And then I'm changing my adventurers to adventurers that are stronger single target units. So that's basic synergy of a team. Like I said, just starting out, you're not going to have all these units. You're definitely not going to have them all 5-star plus. You're not going to have fully ascended units. You're probably not even going to have anklets, right? So this is just to give you a general idea of how to start building a team. If you're missing aspects, like I said, you know, my whole team works together. If you're missing spots with that, throw your strongest adventurer in there, throw your strongest assist in there. Just try to be mindful as to what you're building. Because even if I was to say drop my back 3 units, if I was to drop line, Arde, and Wealth Beat, then if I was to drop those 3, I'm still doing good damage with just my front 3 units, with my Bell, my Ice, and my Haru. So I can just throw 3 random units in slot 4, 5, and 6, and I can still score pretty well because I have the synergy of my first 3 units. So just something to keep in mind. Other than that, like I said, it's more the game. Just clear the missions. Try to clear as many of them as you can. Don't worry about clearing them right off the bat. You can always go back and replay them. Every time you clear them, you're going to get Iris, or every time you clear something new, you're going to get Iris. You're going to get the reward for it. So you want to try to clear the missions as fast as possible. That's also going to unlock a lot of things in game for you, like the blacksmith. I think the casino is locked because it's in Ryu's series of the quest line. But, I mean, there's events going on all the time. Iris is given to you for free all the time. And you just got to keep playing. Any other questions? If you guys want another video explaining anything, I guess I can do another one. But any questions, you want another video, you have questions, feel free to post them in the comments, guys. And with that, have fun and keep up the grind.